the track. Who's the boss? Gary Dick. And that's undoubtedly the new mark to beat.
Played a good pass. Far side of the track would be the left-hand side of the track. Trying to, you know, find the best place on the track to work from. And the left-hand side showed to be the best for him, and indeed it was, because he now takes the lead.
Good shot at Gary behind the wheel as he will wait to unhook. Here is the replay, and watch him work the wheel. He worked the wheel real well, I think.
Wide open. You're going to see him kind of move the tires around a little bit, maybe hopefully get the tires hooked to the track a little bit better than they were earlier in the class. All he needs to do is blow it out the door, and he's got a good hook.
Now, Mike, as we see him work the steering wheel, he's just trying to find the track right there. He's just trying to get some bite.
Slow the tires down enough to get a bite with. Correct.
Nice pull for the boss. 168 feet even. It becomes the new mark to beat. At the Arizona Veterans Coliseum, I'm Ken Broo here in Phoenix as the pull continues. You know, a lot of places I go, people say, Ken, how is a truck pull like Santa Claus? And I say, that's easy. They both have to have a sled to work. And we all know that Santa's is powered by reindeer, but what about the one we're using tonight? Well, that's why we have our own little pull-it elf, Mike Gallaway. Mike?
Thanks, Ken. I'm with a very fine gentleman that's an innovator in this sport, Lauren Pereira out of Castle Rock, Colorado. And Lauren, how long have you had this sled on the road?
About 12 years.
Now, this isn't your first one by any means.
No, we built another one, but not a good one.
Not a good one, but this one has proved very successful.
Very successful.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it was built 12 years ago, and it wasn't self-propelled then, and we self-propelled it about 6 years later, and it gives very little trouble and works pretty good. Most pullers like it, especially the one that wins.
I imagine that's correct. Lauren, one of the interesting things that you mentioned to me earlier is about when it breaks over center or over the pivot point. What do you have figured?
Well, when the weight box that weighs about 11,000 pounds the way it's set now, when it goes past the pivot, the fifth wheel on top of the pan, then the weight starts doubling. Each foot it goes, it gets twice as heavy because it picks weight off the back end. This
is the top of the line when it comes to weight transfer machine.
The crowd and the flash cubes and everything going off as the one-trick pony backs in. You know, many years ago, Paul Simon had the hit song, One Trick Pony. Dave Ribeiro, inspired by that, has taken this 89 GMC and has stuck a Rodak engine right through that hood, and the Rodak makes a sound that is, you know, unmistakable. You know when a Rodak is starting to rev up.
All aluminum, designed off of a Chevrolet setting inside this S15. He is from Tulare, California. They're dairy farmers, and his wife will be expecting their first child in the very near future.
Nice work, David. Says he's been strictly in California lately, working the California circuit. He thinks Dan Coelho, the points leader, is very catchable. He will need a big pull here tonight in the one-trick pony to have any kind of a chance to catch Coelho. He has the green flag right now, and the one-trick pony is kicking up its heels. It was like he was on a waterbed the way he was bouncing down the track.
Showing no mercy, even with the air underneath the tires. And Ken, on any other track that we would have been on, when the truck got that much air underneath it and came back down, it would have snapped axle or drive line, U-joint. Something would not have held.
The flames are just excess alcohol burning off. Watch him bounce.
Front end comes up early, but he doesn't let up. He just keeps in the Rodak. Now watch the front end coming off of the ground. The whole truck lifting off the ground and coming back in, and he still has not lifted. He's still just lowering the boom on. I mean, just hard as it'll run. On a hard biting track, he would have destroyed a lot of merchandise about the first time it came up and landed, and he'd have popped everything.
Dave Ribeiro in the one-trick pony, 167 feet and 4 inches, and that will move him into second place. Well, you've heard of Batman. This is Wrenchman. And let me tell you something, Commissioner. Melinda Lindley, the daughter of Ralph Fix, a lady that calls Phoenix home, not only drives this truck, she blew the engine last week, tore the engine down herself, rebuilt it inside of 2 days, and is ready to drive here tonight. Melinda Lindley. She said the one thing she learned from her dad, just ease it out of the hole. Ralph's got it. Ralph better be careful. He had 2 open heart surgeries last summer.
And going just great guns, is probably just as hard as he ever did.
We'll see Ralph here in a little bit. Here now, daughter Melinda.
And Melinda, at this time, Ken, is doing what I think is the hardest thing in this sport.
What's that now?
Backing that truck to the sled. Now, that doesn't sound like it's too tough. But
she's got it in reverse. What's the deal?
Right. The back end of that truck weighs very, very little. And it don't always go where you point it. Daddy, I wish you'd come get this truck. I ain't never driving this thing again. Oh, I'm about to have a coronary. What's wrong? He shut it down. Oh, Ralph is gonna back it.
Get out of the cab.
Get out of the cab.
Now there is Melinda, who absolutely has to be completely frustrated and embarrassed, and her dad gets in the cab.
Well, Ken, and here again, it is so hard to back one of these things up. There's no weight on the back of it. It moves around, flops around. And Melinda has been fighting the truck, even with, all the power steering in the world won't help it out. So Dad comes out and helps her just a little bit.
Now listen to the crowd after her dad gets it back in.
Well, Melinda's not, as you would say, a happy camper, but
I hope she takes this thing and drives it right out the door.
I would like to see her go down Main Street in Glendale.
Yes, sir.
With the sled making sparks on the pavement.
If Melinda Lindley drives this out the door, you'll see her dad run the length of the track to give her a congratulatory kiss.
Well, I don't think it addled Melinda. It might have addled Ralph, but I don't think it shook that young lady. She's a pretty good hand at this.
Slacks out of the chain. The green flag is down. And finally, after a lot of work, Melinda Lindley will get her chance at 168 1 3/4. That is the mark to beat. Here she goes. She is close.
She is there. She may not be in the lead, but she just bumped a lot of the men back.
Mike, as we watch it again, she slid a little bit coming out of the hole, but like her dad told her, take it nice and easy.
And immediately hard on the throttle. Got to get some ground speed. You're going to need ground speed tonight on this kind of track. You want as much as you can get early. You got to really get by 75 feet. You need to be wide open. You need all the ground speed you can get to try to get on top of the track and get down the track to the other end of it. You need to run on top. You don't need to cut it. You need to run right up on top of it.
Melinda Lindley, 164 feet, 7 3/4 inches. 164, 7 3/4. That'll put her in third place. Shorter and the nights are long. Out in the California sun, David Ribeiro came up with this.
I love it.
Californian. It is a 1990 GMC.
I love it.
In the joint, 604 cubic inch Rodak. David was telling me that the fuel system in this thing is brand new, taking a lot of time to get used to it, but each week he seems to get more comfortable, and here he is tonight behind the wheel of this 1990 GMC.
Look at that throttle right up there in his shoulder. We've got a new leader, Ken.
Oh, man.
The Californian out of Tulare, California, the dairy farmer, has just put it in the lead.
Ho, ho.
It is absolutely beautiful. It goes from yellow into a beautiful orange with some fabulous orange or red and blue striping. It is one super truck.
It's like laying on the beach.
It is the Californian, a 1990 GMC.
There is no question that David Ribeiro has the lead. The only question is how far he went. And, man, this cat was all business right from the start.
An all fiberglass truck, Ken. All the truck is fiberglass. The weight is in the frame and on the front of it. And look at the ground speed, and this truck is just hooked to go pulling.
That is the single most impressive thing I've seen since dinner. That is super.
You're correct.
185 feet and 11 inches. There is no doubt now that David Ribeiro is the man to beat. He has taken the Californian and drove it halfway to the East Coast. All right, here we go. This is the Raging Cajun. Might think this truck would be from the Nolens area, but it's not. It's from a really fine racing town, Riverside, California. Dave Martin calls Riverside home, and this is an 80 Chevy 575, as you can see, right through the hood.
No doubt about one thing, though.
What's that?
Dave Martin is a Raging Cajun.
Watch the butterflies. That are, they are, I should say, those three circles. And when the truck is at full throttle, they'll open up.
And that's coming right now. Come on, Dave.
Well, he was a raging.
And the Cajun.
So, Martin, looks like he has the momentum. I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, right now.
Easing into it, and somewhere in this area, he is just about the 60-foot mark.
See the butterflies open full?
Wide open, and away we go with a Raging Cajun.
And strutting his stuff and sashaying back down the track. There goes Dave Martin in the Raging Cajun. Called playing to the crowd, I guess. 159 feet, 5 1/4 inches. It will not be good enough to get him in the top three, but a good pull nonetheless with the track coming apart. The Raging Cajun. You know, from time to time you hear Mike Gallaway talk about different things, and he has his own little jargon tonight. Gallaway's glossary to truck pulls. Mike, first out of the chute tonight is hole shot. Okay, what does that mean?
That you get right on the starting line. If you don't get a hole shot in the starting line area, you're in trouble.
If you don't get a hole shot, you're shot.
You're shot.
Okay, tall gear.
Well, you know, you come out there, we talk about the tires going real fast, and that's a tall gear. It's a high gear. It's really turning the tires hard. It's tall gear.
All right, I understand that. Big end.
Well,
now, this could go a number of ways.
But it's not the starting line.
Oh, okay.
That'd be the finish line area. That'd be the big end.
Okay. So, in other words, you're a big un if you're at the big end. Crunch Bunch, what does that mean?
Crunch Bunch Monsters.
Oh, okay, where they crush the 56 Buicks.
That's it.
I got you. And good hook.
That's something that every puller wants. A good hook.
Right out of the hole.
Right out of the hole.
May all your hooks be good. And Bubba?
Well, that's everyone that's not a Bubba. That's all of the pullers. Nicknames for each other is Bubba.
Oh, I got you. Kind of like a nickname.
Buying Christmas presents for my
The
boyfriend.
Veterans Memorial Coliseum. This is Ken Broo speaking to you along with Mike Gallaway in the middle of the super modified competition, 6,200-pound trucks. And next out of the chute will be Donnie Hayes in the waiting around. Chico, California, home for Donnie. 89 Ford, 665 cubic inch engine, kind of a strange number.
That's not a misprint either. It is actually 665 cubic inches.
That's not necessarily off the rack, is it? I would think that's probably custom made.
Yeah, that is as big a naturally aspirated motor. There's some 700 inches around, but I haven't seen them personally. This is a large Ford motor. This kid's only 23 years old, and he is one heck of a good puller.
From the ground up, Donnie Hayes. He needs to beat 185 feet plus. It will be awfully difficult on this track. Arizona dirt that is coming apart.
But he's got the horsepower, Ken.
Yes, he
If
does.
horsepower is the name of the game, he's got it.